How's it going, everyone? It's Hobby from Where the SpongeBob. That was today. It's May 30th, 2021, and today we're going to analyze the sea surface temperatures in the Atlantic and determine how they will affect the hurricane season going forward. And while they are cooler than average right now in the main development region, more specifically, we're going to see if it could rise later during the hurricane season, which could increase the activity of the hurricane season. But before I begin, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather icons. Make sure to like if you like this video. Make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather icons. So let's begin by taking a look at the current sea surface temperatures all throughout the Atlantic. And you see that now the sea surface temperatures are really beginning to rise as we're getting close to the month of June, which is of course typical. As the air temperature rises, so does the sea surface temperatures, albeit at a slower rate, but still the sea surface temperatures are certainly rising. You see right around the 26 degrees Celsius mark. That's pretty much right around 80 degrees, which is sufficient enough for hurricane development. And you see that if there's any tropical disturbance that's in the Gulf of Mexico at this point under favorable wind shear and not a ton of dry air, then more likely than not, it's able to develop under 26 degrees Celsius water. Since 80 degrees is pretty much Fahrenheit is pretty much the threshold for hurricane or tropical cyclone development of any kind. And now we're seeing that all throughout the Gulf of Mexico, and now even headed further northward into the Gulf Stream. We do have some patches where it is below 26 degrees Celsius, like just off the coast of Florida, and that has a lot to do with the amount of troughs that have been moving through the area, bringing down those sea surface temperatures. However, for the most part, we're getting into that time of year where now most of the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean Sea is under over 80 degree temperatures, and the Caribbean at this point is already well above 80 degrees when it comes to sea surface temperatures. And it will continue to rise for the rest of the year since we still have the rest of the summer to go, which is a lot of months left. So the sea surface temperatures are expected to rise. However, how does this compare to the average? So right now, taking a look at the sea surface temperature anomaly throughout the Atlantic, it gets really interesting because I'm sure that a lot of people are likely celebrating this because we're seeing not only below average sea surface temperatures in the Gulf of Mexico, which is an area that's prone to tropical cyclone development, but also the main development region, which is actually where the majority of major tropical cyclones form during the hurricane season. And you see that we're even seeing readings of below 1 degree. 1 degrees below average when it comes to the Celsius range. Fahrenheit's a little higher than that. So for the most part, we're seeing below average sea surface temperatures all throughout the main development regions of the Atlantic, which includes the Gulf and the main development region, with some areas in the Caribbean still warmer than average and further into the middle Atlantic. But this area isn't really accustomed to tropical cyclone development at all, as it's very rare for some sort of tropical cyclone to form in this region. So it isn't anything concerning to see this region have sea surface temperatures above average during the hurricane season, since it's quite rare for tropical cyclones to develop in this region in the first place. It's primarily in the Gulf of Mexico, the Caribbean, and the main development region, mostly. So the good news is that as of right now, then the key word is right now, we are under below average sea surface temperatures, and I'm sure a lot of people are celebrating this and hoping this remains. However, unfortunately, I pretty much hate to say this, but I don't expect the below average sea surface temperatures to continue for the rest of the year to potentially limit tropical cyclone development, unfortunately, despite the below average sea surface temperatures we're seeing right now. Because for one thing is that guys, we're still very early. We haven't even begun hurricane season yet officially. Of course, we obviously saw subtropical storm Anna in the month of May, and in prior Mays we have seen an influx of tropical cyclones. And I do still believe that the hurricane season should be pushed back. But even if it's pushed back, or we or that we've seen tropical cyclones already. The point is that we're in the beginning of the tropical we're still in the beginning of the hurricane season for the Atlantic, and typically the beginning or just before the beginning only it's pretty much a fraction, probably less than 10% of the storms you'll experience in for the hurricane season happens by this point of the year. If we were to take into account a prior recent years where we saw tropical cyclones in May. So we are still just barely in the hurricane season, guys. We still have months to go, and we're far from the most active part, which is in August and September. And between those months, a lot could change within the weather. I mean, just within like a few weeks, we've seen the sea surface temperature anomaly fluctuate all throughout the Atlantic. Imagine a couple months, we're gonna see those sea surface temperatures fluctuate a lot. But it's not only the fact that there's so much time left in the hurricane season, which could mean that the sea surface temperatures could rise soon above the average. We also need to take a look at what the climatology models are saying at this point, because if we were to take a look at the sea surface temperature anomaly all throughout the Atlantic at this point, you see this forecast is for the month of June based off of what the CFS model is reading. And if we were to take a look at that, you see that sea surface temperature the CFS model is taking into account that right now we're experiencing below average sea surface temperatures in the main development region, and it takes that into account by making the month of June in the main development region still for the most part cooler than average. And since we're only pretty much 2 days from the month of June, and we're pretty much right at June, it's unlikely to the sea surface temperatures are unlikely to completely change into automatically warmer than average just for a couple of days or a couple of weeks from now. It typically takes a little bit of time, but I assure you that there's still plenty of time for the sea surface temperatures to rise during this hurricane season. So keep that in mind. But you see that for a lot of northern Atlantic, the sea surface temperatures are warmer than average for the most part, and that's concerning, because taking a look at the average ocean currents for the northern Atlantic, you see that on the eastern Atlantic, you see that there's a canary current which typically brings the northern ocean water further southward. And if we were to take a look at the sea surface temperature anomaly just to the north of it, you see that where the sea surface temperatures are warmer than average. So I suspect, thanks to that canary current that's close to the coast of Africa, to bring that warmer than average sea surface temperature further down and warm up the sea surface temperatures, which is another reason why I do believe sea surface temperatures will rebound and become more warmer than average for the main development region and in the Atlantic. So as a result, I do expect a more active hurricane season, because I do expect the sea surface temperatures to rise. If you take a look at the month of July based on what the CFS model is forecasting, you see the sea surface temperatures begin to rebound in the main development region, which is very concerning. That will certainly increase the chance of hurricanes all throughout the main development region, and even into the Gulf Coast. You see that the sea surface temperatures begin to rebound, because if you take a look at the month of June, you see the Southern Caribbean is actually cooler than average, and while a lot of the Gulf of Mexico is warmer than average, it isn't so much warmer than average to where it will certainly make an effect. I won't say it won't make an effect at all, but it isn't so much warmer than average that it'll make a major effect. However, if we move into the month of July, we do see that the northern Gulf of Mexico certainly begins to heat up, and we do see the sea surface temperatures throughout the Gulf Stream as well begin to warm up, and the main development region. So overall, a more active than usual July should be expected based off of the sea surface temperatures. There are still certainly other factors such as the El Nino, the wind shear, dry air in the Atlantic, which I will talk about in future analysis videos. But for now, let's focus on the sea surface temperatures. And moving on to August, you see that the sea surface temperatures really begin to rise during the peak of the hurricane season, based off the CFS model. And the climatology models are very reliable when forecasting sea surface temperatures because they pretty much synthesize data, historical data based off of the conditions we are seeing right now, and it pretty much forecasts what's going to happen based off of historical data. So it's more likely than not all this is expected to happen where we're going to see sea surface temperatures begin to rise in the month of August and will lead into a more active hurricane season. And you see in the month of September those warmer than average sea surface temperatures continue through the month through the most active month of the hurricane season. So this is certainly concerning. We're seeing sea surface temperatures rise this month much, and even if we were to take a look at the air temperature, it's really the air temperature forecast for a lot of the northern Atlantic, or at least northern United States, is expected to be warmer than average. At the temperature anomaly based off of what the CFS model is forecasting, you see in the month of July, most of the eastern half of the United States is expected to be warmer than average, which will certainly rise the sea surface temperatures not only in the eastern coast, the East Coast, but as well as the Gulf of Mexico as well. And heading into the month of August, we see the warmer than average temperatures along the eastern half of the United States continue, with maybe the Midwest receiving cooler than average temperatures, but the Midwest isn't very close to the Gulf of Mexico for it to make a major effect in the temperature. And you see the month of September, those warmer than average air temperatures continue, and that will certainly rise sea surface temperatures. Taking a look at my summer forecast, which I made a couple weeks ago. I will make an update on that very soon, so keep that in mind. You see that I'm forecasting just a much warmer than average summer for a lot of United States, and that will certainly rise the ocean temperatures right around the Atlantic and into the Gulf of Mexico as well. So I do expect the sea surface temperatures to rebound, and I want to make this video just to advise that, because I know this is taking a look at this map, it makes you want to celebrate, because this may mean it will be a less active hurricane season if sea surface temperatures are lower than average. But I just want to put in context that sea surface temperatures are certainly expected to rebound, and that there's still a lot of time in the hurricane season for these temperatures to rebound. So despite the cooler than average sea surface temperatures we're experiencing right now, I suspect that we will eventually still experience a more than average sea surface temperatures in the Atlantic. So certainly keep that in mind. So this is a map I made. To answer the question, will sea surface temperatures rise for this year? I've pretty much the answer is yes. I do expect sea surface temperatures to rise, and we're gonna see more warmer than average temperatures all throughout the Atlantic. So keep that in mind for this hurricane season, and I do expect it to be more active than usual because of the warmer than average sea surface temperatures I expect. And I do expect other factors such as wind shear and El Nino to play or La Nina to play an effect on this hurricane season, which I will talk about in future videos. But anyways, guys, I thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather content. Make sure to like if you like this video. Make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see more weather content. And I hope you guys have a good day.